What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and either fix them or build them, depending on how they rank. Now today we are finishing up our talks on the Life Domain Cleric, and we are going to build one together, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with doing that. So if you want to build the most cleric-y of clerics, then today is going to be the video for you. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, most people who watch this channel are not subscribed, and so please don't be one of those people. Help us out, help us to grow. We just passed 800 subscribers this past week, so I'm very happy about that. So thank you to all of you who are new, and I hope you all are enjoying everything. And of course, if you haven't already, click the bell so you're notified when all of my new videos are uploaded, and of course share the channel with your friends. So the Life Domain Cleric basically takes everything about a cleric and just makes it a little bit better as far as the healing aspect anyway. And so we got a really good ranking. Of course, if you missed Tuesday's video, that'll be up in the icon above right there for you to check out. Make sure you watch that before you watch this, because a lot of the details of what features do will be in that video rather than this one. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy today's build. There will be a question of the day, but it has to do with the class we are multi-classing into, so I'm not going to spoil that just yet, but make sure you stick around so that you don't miss the question of the day. So let's jump in. Starting off, we have our race. And I'm going to be choosing a very strange option. We're actually going to go with a tabaxi for today. Now, I really like tabaxi here for a few reasons. Now, normally they are the rogues or the fighters or something that's meant to be really fast, right? But I thought that this would actually work really well on a cleric. And the reason is because we are the healers, right? We need to be able to get around the battlefield quickly in order to position ourselves the way that we need to. A lot of our spells have a limited range, some even a range of touch, and so if we cannot get to a creature in time, that's life or death, right? And so I want to make sure that we have an ample amount of mobility here given our race, because I really don't want to burn a feat for something like mobile or anything like that. So I want to just pick it up with our race. So we can basically dash for free with tabaxi, which is pretty great. So we get to double our speed once per turn, I guess, and then we can just not use that again until we move 0 feet on a subsequent turn. This is not that bad of a restriction, especially since once you get into a good position, you're probably okay to just stand still that next turn and recharge that feature. So that's really, really nice. There are a bunch of other really good features that we get as a tabaxi. We do, of course, get dark vision, which is fantastic. We get a 20-foot climbing speed and some claws. We won't be really using the claw attack on this one, but we do also get perception and stealth proficiency, which is awesome. To pick up 2 proficiencies from our race, we're going to pick up 2 more from our background. That's already 4, and then we haven't even started on our class yet. So we're going to have a lot of proficiencies, and that's awesome, right? I think that's absolutely fantastic. We're off to a really good start just with this race, and I think it's going to work great for a cleric. As for our stats, we are going to be, of course, taking our modified standard array as always, and we're going to be starting with a 17 in our wisdom, a 15 in strength, 13 constitution, 12 dexterity, 10 charisma, and 8 intelligence. And we of course get a +2 and a +1 to put wherever we want. We're going to put the +2 into our wisdom and the +1 into our constitution. We actually are going to be just leaving our strength at 15. We just want to meet the heavy armor requirement, and that is all I care about. So yeah, we don't need anything higher than a 15. We're not really using strength otherwise. And then for our equipment, now there's a huge caveat on this build, and I want to go ahead and tell you up front beforehand. It has to do with our multi-classing, and I'm sure that you'll be able to tell where I'm going with this, but you basically need to be looking for the ability to wear armor that is not metal. We can do this a number of ways. Most of them are probably homebrewed, but talk to your DM before playing a character like this. If your DM does not allow this kind of a character, then just play a full 1 through 20 Life Cleric. It's probably better mechanically anyway. I'm just multi-classing for flavor, and I wanted to just do something cool. Mechanically speaking, you're probably better off just taking 20 levels of Cleric.
Just saying. But for this, we are going to be multi-classing, and we cannot use metal weapons or armor. And so basically the workaround is talk to your DM and see if you can use the hides and armor essentially of enemies that you fight. So things like Umber Hulks or things that just have like a scaly exterior to them. See if you can, take part of that and turn that into armor for yourself, and just kind of homebrew that a little bit. I think that's perfectly reasonable for me, but that is a little bit of a gray area, and some DMs probably wouldn't allow that. So just talk to your DM before you go off assuming that this is going to work out for you. Just talk to your DM. That's one thing. So we're going to be multi-classing later, and at that point we won't be able to use metal. So just be careful. That's the whole thing. As far as our weapon goes, a quarterstaff is probably your best option. A club also works, but the damage is really poor on that, but it doesn't really matter. Just something made of wood, of course, because we can't use metal. And go ahead and pick up a wooden shield as well. All of these things are going to do you a lot of good. Go ahead and stick your holy symbol on the end of your shield, as always, just for the little bit of a workaround that provides. And we will be getting a feat later that'll help us to cast spells while holding both of them. So don't worry, we will get that in the future. For now, probably just put the shield away, or pick up a shield as you go. They're cheap, no big deal. Level 1, let's go ahead and jump in. We are starting, of course, with Cleric. There's no reason to start with the other class, because I want to get my Cleric stuff first and foremost. This is the most important thing. So we get our spell casting at level 1, as well as our bonus proficiency in heavy armor, and we also of course get Disciple of Life, which is going to give a bonus to our healing spells, which is amazing. So we're off to a really good start. We're a really effective healer, and we can pick up a lot of really good spells here. So Sacred Flame, Spare the Dying, Thaumaturgy, and Toll the Dead are all really good options. There's no reason to grab Guidance on this build because we're going to actually get it later. So there's no reason to waste a slot now on your cantrips. So yes, Guidance is a fantastic cantrip. We will get it later. Don't worry about it. And then as far as first level spells, we get Bless and Cure Wounds innately, but we can also pick up things like Healing Word, Sanctuary, and Shield of Faith. Healing Word is especially nice, just being a bonus action. And once we add all of the effectiveness that we're going to get through this class and our multi-class option, this turns into a really viable way to do a decent chunk of healing on a bonus action. So I think it's fantastic. Make sure you grab that. It is a must bring for this build. Then at Cleric 2, we of course get our Channel Divinity options, and we have our exclusive one called Preserve Life, which is great. Gives a little burst of healing, which is great. And of course, Turn Undead and Harness Divine Power are also in there. It's difficult to choose between Harness Divine Power and Preserve Life, honestly, which is a good thing. I like having good choices that are all viable. And so that puts us in a really nice position. Just use that carefully because you only get one use right now per rest, but that'll go up a little bit later. Then at Cleric 3, we don't get a feature, but we do get more spells here at second level spells, and we get some pretty nice options. Pick up things like Aid, Lesser Restoration, Enhance Ability, Prayer of Healing, Spiritual Weapon, things like that, and maybe Warding Bond. But that's a big maybe. Warding Bond's a decent spell, but it's one that I have to think twice before I prepare it, because it's not always the best to bring. So just think about that one, especially before you take that. Then at Cleric 4, we of course get an ASI or a feat, and we have a feat that I think is too good for us to not take, which kind of makes the feat unbalanced, but it is what it is. We're taking Warcaster. Warcaster is a fantastic feat for us because we want to be able to not need a free hand in order to perform the somatic components of our spells. So this is going to allow us to do that. We also can cast spells as a reaction for an attack of opportunity, which is really good. But most importantly, we get advantage on our Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration. This is great. Our Constitution is not fantastic. It will be improved later, but it's not the best. And so we definitely want to get every single a boon that we can get to that so that we don't lose our spells. We we as a cleric are going to be using our concentration a lot. You know, Bane, Bless, just for two spells. You know, we have Bless innately. We're probably going to be using that a lot. We don't want to drop concentration on that because of just how useful that is. So yeah, we don't want to lose that. So Warcaster is kind of a no-brainer. At Cleric 5, we get our Destroy Undead feature, and so this is, instead of turning a creature that is undead, we will now destroy it if it is of CR 1/2 or lower, which is pretty cool. Situational, but really, really neat in the right setting. We also get access to 3rd level spells. We get Beacon of Hope and Revivify for free, but in addition, we can also take things like Mass Healing Word and Spirit Guardians and Spirit Shroud. Those are both really good concentration spells that are really good for dealing a little bit of extra damage. Now, of course, we are not a damage dealing class primarily. This is not a damage dealing build. We are not building this for damage. We are here to heal people, and that is the whole thing. But if you need to get something off of you and deal some damage, we're going to be here to throw down in case we need to, but most of the time, for right now, you're going to be throwing out cantrips. If you need to hit something with a weapon, that's fine, but for the most part, your cantrips are probably going to be just as effective, if not more so, at least for a few more levels. And then we can get them at least close to being in the running. Then at Cleric 6, we get a second use of our Channel Divinity, which is amazing, right? And then we also get our Blessed Healer, so now we are healing ourselves when we heal others, which is amazing, right? We are the ones that are here to keep people up. If we go down, then that defeats the entire purpose. So this just makes us that much harder to kill. So at this point, it's a little bit difficult as far as where I wanted to go next. Cleric 6 is kind of a pivotal moment. You could say either Cleric 6 or Cleric 8 are some really pivotal moments for clerics. You get some really good stuff here at level 6, and you get 4th level spells when you get to Cleric 7. However, I want to go ahead and multi-class here because there are a couple of things that I want to go ahead and pick up while I'm here, and I think it'll just make us that much more effective when we continue on down the road. And of course, in case you haven't figured it out just yet, we are multi-classing with Druid. So Druid is a really fun multi-class here, but it comes with its restrictions, and Druids refuse to use metal, either weapons or armor, and so this is where the question of the day comes in. You as a player or as a DM, what do you do about the restriction to metal? Do you say, nope, this is strictly how it is, it says so in the PHB, that's how it is? Or do you say, well, you could make medium or heavy armor out of animal skins or shells or whatever? Or is it, I don't really care, you can use metal if you want to? I'd love to know down in the comments below, because I know this is a debate that is somewhat of a hot topic when it comes to what people think in the D&D community, so I'd love to know down in the comments what you do at your tables. But at Druid 1, we get a couple of things. We get Druidic, which is the language of druids, so kind of like Thieves' Cant for rogues, secret language just for druids. Fun stuff, it's flavorful, typically not going to have a massive impact unless your DM wants to give it a massive impact. So that's just up to your DM. And then we also get our spell casting. Now we're only going to get a couple of cantrips here, and we get a few 1st level spells. Our wisdom is quite good, so we are going to have several really good spells in order to prepare here. So that's really nice. It's another prepared class, so you don't have to change the method in which you're getting spells ready. Just make sure you're preparing from both lists. And actually what I would suggest here is anything that is a repeat off of the Druid list that is not something like crazy that you really want off of it, just throw it all on the Druid list and then use your remaining slots on your Cleric stuff to pick up your higher level spells. This is going to give you a lot more prepared from the prepared list to give, and I think that's really nice. Right, so definitely use that to your advantage to be able to pick up some higher level spells on the Cleric list, and this will help to free up a lot of the lower level ones on the Druid list. So do that. As far as our cantrips go, we have 2, and I have 2 suggestions for you. Druidcraft, which is the Swiss Army knife of Druid cantrips. You can do a lot of things with that. It's really, really cool. And then, of course, Shillelagh. Shillelagh is one of the better Druid cantrips, and it allows you to use your Wisdom modifier rather than Strength or dexterity when you are making an attack with a specific type of weapon. Those weapons are quarterstaffs and clubs, and so we took a quarterstaff or club at the beginning of this build in preparation for this. The really cool thing about this is that it makes it a D8 regardless of which type of weapon you took. So we now have a D8 when normally we would be at a D6 for the quarterstaff unless we use both hands. So now it doesn't matter if we have two hands or one hand, it's a D8 either way. So might as well just use one hand, right, and have the shield in the other, and you're going to be just as effective either way. So I think that's really nice. It works really well with Warcaster. It just tightens up the whole kit a lot. And makes you feel a lot more effective, even though it's only on average one more damage. It's still really nice. It still feels really good to be able to do that. Then as far as our first level spells, Absorb Elements is a really nice one. A really good defensive option that allows you to deal a little bit of extra damage out because we're not afraid to be up in the front. We also have Entangle, which I think can be used really effectively. Really nice control spell that can help delay the actions of somebody, which is really good. Fairy Fire, it's Fairy Fire. It's absolutely amazing as long as it is properly placed. And then Goodberry. Now, Goodberry is one that I wanted to talk about for just a second because I almost picked Magic Initiate just to pick up Shillelagh and Goodberry rather than multi-classing entirely. But honestly, I think I'm getting more use out of 2 levels of Druid rather than just doing that. But if you wanted to take that route, I was going to mention it in the honorable mentions, and I'll probably talk about it again there. But Goodberry is just that good, right? It's a free 1 HP heal, and it basically is free food for everybody, which is amazing. It lasts you the entire day. And what's really cool, though, is that it is a spell that you cast that heals HP, which goes right into your Disciple of Life feature. So you're going to get a bonus to Goodberry because of your Disciple of Life feature, which is kind of cool, right? I think that's really, really neat, just to think about the addition that this gives. I mean, it's not an insane amount of extra healing, but it's still cool to be able to add more to that as just a freebie type of thing. So that's neat. I like that a lot. Just something to think about. Then at Druid 2, we get to pick our Druidic Circle. This was a tough decision. I went through 3 different options that all were pretty useful. And came with a lot of really good utility, and I came so close to picking a different one, but I ended up landing on the Circle of Stars Druid. Now, as far as the flavor of this character, I normally don't discuss flavor just because you can flavor this character however you want. I just handle the mechanical aspect of it, which may be a little shallow for a video purpose, but you can roleplay this however you want. As far as for me, I see this as an explorer, as someone looking for something with a greater meaning, and you want to make sure that you have friends along the way to help you get to wherever it is that you are going. And so you have your star map now, which is really, really cool. There's so much flavor that goes into this subclass, and I really can't wait to talk about it once we get to Druids on the channel, which is coming up after however many more clerics there are. There are a ton, so we'll get there eventually. But the Circle of Stars Druid get a couple of things. We of course get Wild Shape, as all Druids do, which is an amazing feature that allows us to transform into beasts, which is awesome. Now, we're not going any deeper into this, so our CR is very limited, and we can't swim and we can't fly. But it's still decent. We can still find some uses for this. It's still some extra HP if we need to tank just a little bit, but you're probably better off not using it for that. You're probably better off using it for what the Stars Druid allows you to do. So first of all, we get our Starry Map, which allows us to cast Guidance, which is fantastic. So that's why we didn't pick it up earlier. And we can cast Guiding Bolt, proficiency bonus times per day, and that's also really nice. Guiding Bolt is a fantastic spell, off the cleric list, ironically, but it's really, really nice. It has the same effect of as a single fire Fairy Fire as far as giving advantage to the next attack, except Fairy Fire lasts and this one doesn't. But either way, it's still a really good spell, and I really, really like that. And then we get our Starry Form. So our Starry Form is our signature here, and it gives you 3 different options of what form we can take instead of that of a bestial one. Now, we have a couple that we won't be using all that much, but you should consider. Now, the Archer does some extra damage when we cast spells, which could be nice, but I don't think we'll be using that one all that much. We do have the Dragon, which allows you to pass your concentration checks pretty much most of the time. I mean, you've got to take a huge hit to be able to fail it when you've got that going. So if you start to feel like you're missing out on a lot of your concentration checks, even though you have advantage, that might be an option to switch to. But Chalice is going to be our main bout of this, and this is going to give an extra bit of healing to our already really good bit of healing. So this is a 30-foot range, and so basically think about this. We get within 30 feet of somebody and we cast Healing Word, for example, right? Healing Word is going to be the least amount of healing that we're going to be doing. So if we cast it at first level, we're going to be doing 1d4 from Healing Word. We're going to be doing plus our Wisdom modifier, which currently is 4. That'll be going up later in healing normally. However, if they are within 30 feet of us and this is active, then we're also going to add 1d8 plus our Wisdom modifier again. So now we're doing 1d4 plus 1d8 plus 8 healing as a bonus action. That's really good. And we can scale that too. And so that's really, really fantastic use of really effective healing for something that we can do twice per rest, and I think that's awesome, right? I think this is absolutely fantastic. I think it's really effective in making our healing that much more useful. And we only needed 2 levels. We don't need to go any farther into Druid for anything. I don't think the 2nd level Druid spells are really worth going any farther in, so we're going to jump back to Cleric and ride that the rest of the way. So at Cleric 7, we don't get any features, but we do get 4th level Cleric spells. We do get Death Ward and Guardian of Faith already prepared for us. The only other spell I would really recommend is possibly Banishment, but even then it's whatever. It just depends on what you're fighting. Banishment definitely will come up more and more as you level up, as you're fighting things that are from different planes of existence, or as you travel to different planes from existence, chasing down things that are not from that plane that they've gone to. You will definitely have more usage of this as you go, so definitely consider taking it. Then at Cleric 8, we get a few things. We of course get our Destroy Undead going up to a CR 1. We get our Divine Strike, of course, adding some extra damage to our melee attacks when we use our weapon. So we're dealing some okay damage. You know, we're not going to set any records or anything, but the damage is reasonable. But we also get an ASI or a feat, and I thought, how can I be more supportive? How can I be better at moving around the battlefield? How can I just crank this up even more? And so I looked through our feats here, and I thought a feat is probably my best usage of this. And I settled on Fey Touched. Now, Fey Touched is nothing that is this revolutionary in anything. You know, it's a very popular feat. It's very good. It's very strong. And I think that this is fantastic, though, now that the Strixhaven book has come out, and all of you are groaning in the comments. I already know. We know what you're doing, and yes, I'm doing exactly what you think, and I'm doing it anyway because I think it's great. So we now get Misty Step, which is fantastic. So we can cast it once for free, and then the rest of the time we can use our spell slots to do it again if we need to. So this is our bonus action teleportation. Again, we want to be mobile so that we can be where we want to be for positioning. Now, especially that we have this 30-foot aura for healing, now that we have, you know, touch spells of cure wounds that we get bonuses to, we get the healing word that has bonuses. We want to be able to get around the battlefield really, really quickly. And this just adds on to that even more, which is fantastic. But we also get a free spell from a limited list from certain schools of magic. And we're going with Silvery Barbs. I know, all of the Silvery Barbs haters in the comments are gonna tell me that I can't do that because it's broken and everything, but honestly, it's just a cool spell. And it's a really good support spell, and it just really fits this build. Being able to debuff is just as good as healing in some cases, because if the attack doesn't land, then it's basically the same as me having to heal a whole bunch. So I'd rather just make them miss the attack, right? Or make them fail whatever they're doing. And Silvery Barbs really helps with that. So I'm going to add that on there. I think it is wonderful. At Cleric 9, of course, we get no features, but we are going to get our 5th level spells. And Greater Restoration is the only spell really that I think is a must bring outside of what we already get prepared in Mass Cure Wounds and Raise Dead. At Cleric 10, we get Divine Intervention, and if you want all the details on that, my general Cleric guide will be up in the iCard above right there for you to check out. And then at Cleric 11, our Destroy Undead goes up to a CR2, and we get our 6th level spells. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that we took a full caster as our multi-class, so our spell slot progression has not slowed down. We now have a 7th level spell slot, just no 7th level spells that we can cast. So you always have the ability to upcast in this situation. So keep in mind what you want to upcast once you are getting up to this type of a level. Harm and Heal are of course fantastic. I think that they are staples of the Cleric list and definitely ones to consider. Hero's Feast is one that I would consider as well, but it's very costly and it's very specific in the type of bowl you need for it, and so it's not going to happen a lot. But when it happens, it could really help you up against like a boss fight or something like that. So definitely try to get it off at least once or twice, but it's probably not one you're going to be doing a lot of. And then of course, Sunbeam is really good as well if you want a little bit of damage. Then at Cleric 12, we get another ASI or a feat. And again, I considered bumping up Constitution to 16. But I think we're better off taking one more feat. And I know that it's probably better to go ahead and boost Constitution, but we have our Dragon form if we need it, and we have Warcaster. So I feel like we're okay, at least for now, on not boosting that again. What I don't think we're okay with is I think we need more HP. I think it would be amazing to get more HP on this character. Since we're able to heal so much, it is that much more imperative that we do not go down, and Tough is going to really help with that. So we're going to take the Tough feat here and gain a bunch more HP, and I think that is absolutely fantastic in helping us to survive. We're going to be facing a lot of really difficult things. I mean, you know, we're level 14 at this point. We're fighting some really hard things, so having a lot of extra HP, always a good thing. Then at Cleric 13, we don't get any new features, but we get 7th level spells and an 8th level slot. So Regenerate, Resurrection, and Symbol are all really good options there. Cleric 14, Destroy Undead, goes up to a CR3. And then Cleric 15, we don't get any spells, but we get a 8th level spells and a 9th level slot. So yeah, we now can cast a spell at 9th level, which is cool. So Holy Aura and Sunburst are both really good options that I would consider there. Then Cleric 16, we finally get another ASI or a feat, and now is when I would bump Constitution. So our Constitution is going to go up to a 16 here. It's about time, right? We didn't need to boost Dex at all because we're going to be wearing heavy armor and Dexterity does not affect that. So we don't need to boost that. Charisma and Intelligence both don't really matter here. So this is really the only option that fits because we have Shillelagh to use for our strength. We don't need any higher than 15 strength. It just makes sense, and I don't think we need any more feats here. It just wouldn't really give us anything, especially this late in the build. ASI is just way more effective. Then Cleric 17, we get our Supreme Healing, so we always roll max on healing. That's so good. That's so good. And honestly, I'm okay with making that a 19th level feature. Again, if you're getting to level 17, you're probably getting to level 19, if at all, which, you know, if so, good for you. That's awesome. I'm glad that you are, you know, killing God at this point, because that's basically where you're at. And then we also get 9th level spells, and honestly, all of them are great. All of the 9th level spells are useful. Take them all if you can. And then Cleric 18, of course, is going to be level 20 for us, and our Channel Divinity now gets 3 uses per rest. So that is today's build. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. As for our honorable mentions, let's take a look at those just really quickly here. So for our races, I originally considered a Mark of Hospitality Halfling. This would have given us Goodberry for free, which I think just as a spell is really, really nice. It would have freed up some options as far as what we could have taken additionally if we had taken Magic Initiate for Druid, which I'll talk about here in just a second. Just getting that for free would have been really, really nice. But ultimately, I think having the Starry Form is going to give us a lot more effectiveness than just this spell would. So I think we're better off taking the path that we took in this build, but something to consider if you don't want to multi-class. And then, of course, feats, Magic Initiate Druid is, of course, a top contender. It gives you access to Shillelagh, which is nice. And honestly, like, Shillelagh isn't one that I normally would want to take on something that's a full-time healer. But we don't get potent spell casting on this subclass, which is a little strange. We get Divine Strike, so it's helping our weapon damage. So I kind of feel like we have to do something to make our attacks at least okay when we're in melee combat. It's just a little strange to me that we wouldn't have potent spell casting, but we're just kind of rolling with it. And so I want to make sure that we're at least somewhat effective in melee combat. We're not going to go nuts, but it's something, right? And then Resilient Constitution was another one that I definitely considered. Resilient Constitution would, of course, give you the proficiency bonus to your Constitution saving throws, as well as a +1, which is, of course, fantastic. But honestly, we have so many other boosts to it. We already have advantage, and we can just pull out Dragon Form if we need to. I think we're fine. You know, I really don't think that we're going to need it all that badly, you know, unless we get absolutely devastated with a hit. And at that point, you know, you probably deserve to lose concentration. So it is what it is. I think that's fine. As far as multi-classing options, I didn't really have a ton of options here, but the Lore Bard was honestly a tricky one to not pick. It does make us a little bit more multiple ability dependent, but Bardic Inspiration is really good, and Lore Bard gives us things like Cutting Words, which also is really nice on a support build. And so I thought that that would also be a really, really nice feature as well that would help us in the long run. So that is it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Next week, we are covering the Light domain, and so we go from helping everyone to survive to burning everything alive, which are two very different takes on the Cleric. And so let's see just how well it does next week. Until then, I hope you stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.